drawing in perspective is really hard. That's because you need to draw 3D, and that's not very easy, especially for beginners. However, there is one method that's perfect for beginners to learn foreshortening and perspective, the Coil method. And it's so easy, it won't even take 10 minutes for you to learn it. Hi guys, my name is Marcel, yes! Thank you so much! Who the hell is Marcel? I always wanted to make a video about the Coil method, but visualizing how this works was kind of tricky. As you guys know, my videos are animated just so you guys understand these methods a lot better, but visualizing this topic wasn't really easy. So it would be nice if you left a like on this video if you enjoy it. I make these videos all by myself, and believe me, it's a lot of work. These videos don't make enough money to hire an editor or animator to do these for me, so having things like sponsorships is what keeps this channel alive. Speaking of which...
Boring! I wanna watch something else.
Well, okay, now then let's check out this VHS.
What's a VHS?
Shut up! This one's my favorite. Hello, sir. Are you perchance animating YouTube videos right now? Yeah. In that case, you might want to check out Skillshare. It is an online learning platform with thousands of classes. I know that. I've used Skillshare several times now. I've watched a lot of classes by Jake Barley and Kurzgesagt. They are industry professionals, so I literally learned animating by the best creators there are. Anyway, how did you get into my house? But in case you out there don't care much about video editing, Skillshare obviously has classes about basically everything, be it photography, painting and art, animation, writing classes for your own stories, and so much more. And it is free for 1 month, if you are quick. The first 500 people to click the link in the info box and join Skillshare will get a free month of Skillshare. So be quick, click the link, because it also supports this channel. Can you please go now? Anyway, click the link, click the link!
I think I wanna go home now.
Ah yeah, let's just learn the Coil Technique. DrawlikeaSir. Okay, so you know how most professional artists like to draw bodies out of simple shapes, right? Like tubes, for example. I think most of you guys are able to draw a simple tube, right? Now, when you want to draw that tube in perspective, this gets a bit harder. The more and more you push this perspective, the more you have to put in the effort to distort it, and it gets more and more difficult. And that goes especially if you're not very experienced with drawing perspective. That goes on and on until the front and the back parts overlap. This is what we call foreshortening, and it's tricky to draw at first. As you just saw, this is how you draw basically anything that's overlapping in perspective. And maybe you already tried this, and then you realize that this is harder than a Genshin player when they spot a miner. Now this is where the Coil method comes into play. It's basically a method to create perspective and foreshortening for people who are really bad at this. That's because coils are the perfect shapes for this. It's basically a cylinder, and it's already kind of separated into equal segments. And you can apply this to any shape or figure that you want. A no-brainer would obviously be fingers on a hand. So here's a photo of a hand with foreshortened fingers. The workflow is really simple. Drawing the base first, and then figuring out in which way the foreshortened parts curve. So that's the way to go here. And as always, if you want to use the same art supplies that I have, you can always visit my website. I've got a whole art supply list, and I've linked everything that I use there. Alright, I think you got the gist. This is a lot more 3D and in perspective than just drawing it flat. There's a really big difference between those two. If this is still a bit hard for you, you can always practice this by, well, I call this coiling along, but I think you get what I mean. In order to improve your drawings, you should also maybe try changing the perspective midway. Now let's try this with something more difficult, like a whole limb. I'm just very loosely copying the original image here and giving it a base. And, just like before, you could observe how the object is curved for the best result. And then, it's coiling time. Bonus points if you apply what I talked about before. The angle of the hand is different, so your coil should change perspective as well. This works pretty much for every body part and object, so you could just draw the torso like this as well, in order to maybe show the way it's curved. Now, before ending this video, let's talk about the most important part, and that's the big downside of the coil method. The coil method is more of a beginner technique. Like I said before, it's for people who really struggle hard with drawing objects in perspective, like the cylinders I showed in the beginning. What I want to say is, if you are able to draw 3D like this without the coil method, then you should definitely stick to it. I'm not saying the coil method is bad, it's perfect to understand foreshortening, because foreshortening is hard. But there is a reason why you barely see any professional draw like this. The professional way to draw a body would be to construct it, like you would construct a mannequin out of different parts. If all of this would be drawn with the coil method, this would be way too messy for you to draw anatomy after this. You need precise, unambiguous lines to construct a body professionally, because that way you can better map anatomy to it and obviously also have more room for details. I mean, how am I supposed to draw anatomy on top of all of this? I can barely even see anything. Now, one last time, it's still a good technique to get into perspective though. So maybe if you just can't build a 3D perspective mannequin yet, it's no shame to stick to the coil method until you get a better understanding of perspective. It's way easier after all. But yeah, it makes a hell of a difference to actually construct a body out of 3D shapes. This is way more helpful in the long run, and it makes for way better results. I do, by the way, have a whole book on this. It's called Draw Like a Mangaka Anatomy version, and it's available worldwide in English on Amazon for pre-order. And the first 500 people to pre-order will get a special set of pencils and erasers for free as a pre-order bonus. Thank you so much for checking it out, and I see you guys next time.